Okay, this screencast is designed to help you finish Lesson 1, the video presentation on the highway transportation system. As you can see, your highway transportation system presentation is accompanied with a journal prompt. You'll be asked 3 questions about your journal, for your journal prompt, excuse me. What are the 3 parts that make up the highway transportation system? Who is responsible for regulating the highway transportation system? You must provide 2 examples that we discuss in this presentation, and also provide 2 examples that demonstrate what a driver can do to keep or to help keep the highway transportation system running. You will get 3 points for question, 3 points for question number 1, 3 points for question number 2, 3 points for question number 3, and then 1 point for your grammar. As we move on to the first slide, these are just simply examples to get you an idea of what the highway transportation system is. It's also abbreviated as the HTS, but you can see we have a wide variety of examples there to help demonstrate and give you a visual of the highway transportation system. The history of the highway transportation system is quite simple. It's roughly only about 100 years old, a little over 100 years old. It's one of our newer forms of transportations out there. And as you can see, all the way back in 1902, it wasn't used as much as we use it today, with only 23,000 vehicles on the road. Most of the time back then, we were looking at more animal-drawn vehicles using the roadway opposed to motor vehicles. Also around that time, there was only about 150 miles of actual paved roads. As we fast forward to the present day, you can now see there are over 230 million registered motor vehicles, 4 million miles of paved roads. 60% of our roadways are used to transport products or goods from one side of the United States to the other. We also use the highway transportation system for our own personal use, such as trips and travel. And by far, it's the #1 choice. Even with the higher gas prices, it's still cheaper for us usually to drive someplace than it is to fly. So we tend to use it a lot more often than flight or ships. The goal of the highway transportation system is very important. As active members of the highway transportation system, when we understand what the goal is, we can understand how we should participate on the system. The highway transportation system is considered the most complex system of transportation. It is designed to enable people and goods to move from place to place as safely and as efficiently as possible. The interesting fact of this, though, is though it's the most complex, it is also, or requires, the least amount of training to be able to participate in it. If you think of the airline industry or the shipping or the railroad industry, to be able to be a train conductor or a pilot or a captain of a ship, it requires a lot more training. Usually you won't see somebody the age of 15, 16. You'll also learn later that in some states, even as young as 14, being able to get licenses and to drive on the roadway system. The HTS is made up of 3 parts. The very first part is roads. And when you think of roads, there are different types, such as you see listed there, interstate or country. There are also different features about our roads: curves, guardrails, shoulders, and there's also different surfaces. Not only surfaces that it's made of, such as asphalt or concrete, but also environmental surfaces that can affect us, such as snow cover or wet leaves. Once you understand roads, what they make, what they're made of, the features of them, and types of roads, you can start to understand certain roads are higher risk than other roads. For example, a country road is going to have the greatest number of fatalities because they're very narrow, they have a lot of hills and curves, they are separated simply, or oncoming traffic is separated simply by a double yellow line. You have a larger population of animals and wildlife that may be on the roads as well. A lot of people think interstates are considered dangerous. Interstates aren't really that dangerous in the sense that even though we're doing higher rates of speeds, we're on a much wider road. There are no intersections, so we lose cross traffic. Head-on traffic is separated by large grass barriers or concrete barriers as well. So we tend to not have a great number of accidents on our interstates. The design of our roads have come a long way as well. As you can see locally, we've had tons of traffic and construction going on to help alleviate some of the problems our roadway system has. Pennsylvania has some of the oldest roads in the United States, the Turnpike being one of the very first interstate systems that the United States has seen. Right now, we're doing a much better job. A lot of our country roads that we drive on were simply gravel roads that outlined farm property, and we went around and paved them. Now we have engineers that really take a lot of time to carefully design how we set up on-ramps, how the road should go based off of volume and stuff like that. The next part of the highway transportation system is actually vehicles. Besides roads, vehicles are really important. And vehicles literally cover the gamut. Bicycles, motorcycles, animal-drawn vehicles, trucks, emergency vehicles. And it's really important to understand the differences in vehicles. Vehicles nowadays come with so many features, safety features such as airbags, seatbelts, anti-lock braking systems, navigation systems such as GPS, newer systems like electronic stability systems. Some cars have auto sticks or all-wheel drive. Once you understand how all the features work, which is all found in your driver's manual, your vehicle's manual, you can really get a good and better understanding of how your vehicle will perform. Vehicles, depending on the type of them, tractor trailers don't turn as well as maybe a motorcycle. School buses take longer to stop than a sports car. So as you follow these vehicles or you see these vehicles approaching intersections, it's really important to take into consideration some of the features vehicles have and their performance capabilities. Who makes up the HTS? Well, that's the final part. That's you and I, the users. Users don't have to be necessarily drivers. Users can be anybody who's actually on the roads. And as you can see, right now we have over 194 million licensed drivers out there, 55 million pedestrians and bicyclists using the roads as well. There's a lot of people out there with different ages and abilities using our roadway system. So let's look at the users. Obviously, the most critical aspect of the HTS is you and I, the driver. Drivers come with different ages, different experiences, values, emotions, habits, health. The healthier, the more alert. A driver who can keep their emotions in check, somebody who's gotten a lot of experience, is obviously going to be a much safer driver. Insurance companies take this into consideration. That's why you will pay a higher insurance price than I'll pay. I have a lot more experience. I have a lot less risk-taking in me because of being married with kids than somebody who is only 16 with really no experience and usually tends to be a higher risk taker. Pedestrians, such as construction crews who are working on the roads, joggers with headphones on. What about the kids in your neighborhood that are playing on the driveway? Do they pay attention to you or do they pay attention to the ball that just went into the street? And then you also have to deal with wildlife, such as deer, squirrels, animals such as dogs that could run in front of your vehicle, obviously not knowing that a vehicle can hit and kill them. So, if the highway transportation system is made up of roads, vehicles, and users, and it's also considered to be the most complex, how do we get from point A to point B efficiently and safely, which is the goal of it? Well, it's regulated. And the highway transportation system is regulated at all three levels of government. It's regulated at the federal, state, and local levels. An example might be that the federal law established a countrywide speed limit only to then eventually change it back in 1995 and allow each state to control the speed limit. At that time, Montana, for example, had no daytime speed limit for vehicles on their expressways and only a 70-mile-per-hour speed limit for trucks. Federal government felt that states know their area the best and should be able to judge speed appropriately. State and local police obviously enforce traffic laws, but there's also some unification. The federal government says a stop sign needs to be 8-sided, red and white. The federal government dictates how traffic lights should be. State governments, though, and local governments step in and decide where to place them. So, what's important in Unit 1, and really, really important when it comes to your essay at the end of the unit for your assessment, is understanding that there are 4 acts that we must look at. The National Highway Safety Act, the National Traffic and Motor Vehicle Safety Act, and the Graduated License and the Pennsylvania Point System. Understanding these 4 will be very useful in successfully completing this lesson.